I'm Ms. Kingsley, and today's video is about multiplying by multiples of 10. You remember our multiples of 10? The easy ones start with 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and so forth. So I want to start by having you look at this chart paper behind me and see if you can find the patterns in these various multiplication problems. Pause the video if that helps, and then I will go over them. Okay, so let's take a look. So we see 2 times 7 equals 14. The next problem, 2 times 70 equals 140. If you notice, the 14 is still there in a sense. So if I cover that 0, we have 2 times 7 equals 14, and we added 1 0 to get 140. When we go to the next one, where we have 2 times 700, there's still a 14 there. 14 there. This time I have 2 zeros from my 700, and I add the 2 zeros over here. So on my last one, I have 2 times 7,000. Again, 2 times 7 equals my 14, and I pick up 1, 2, 3 zeros from the 3 zeros that were part of the 7,000. The same is true with this next example. Feel free to pause the video if that's helpful. Then there's a tricky one I wanted to point out, and I wanted to see if you could figure out why it's tricky. It's over here. So pause the video if you need to, and come back, and here we go. 5 times 4 equals 20. Notice that there is a 0 in our product of our 2 digits before we even get to the 0 that we're adding. Then we add a 0. So our final product has 2 zeros in it, even though when we look over at our factors, only 1 is showing. So this makes it a little bit trickier. Now, before we go on to some practice problems that get a little bit harder, I want to just show you why this works. It might look like a trick. It's really not a trick. It has to do with how numbers work. So I'm going to take this down and look at an example. So here we have 2 times 70, and we learned how we would do this is we would take the 2 times the 7, put the 14, add a 0. But again, seems like a trick. So let's break this apart. 2 times 70 is the same as 2 times 7 times 10. This shows this in parentheses, and by the associative property, we know that in multiplication, we can change which groupings we use when all the numbers are being multiplied. So this is the same as changing these parentheses over here. So we have 2 times 7 times 10, and that becomes 14 times 10. This would look easier to you. And our answer is just 10 times bigger than 14, which is 140, which is the same answer we got when we did it the way we were just looking at on the other page. Okay, I'm going to pause the video, and then we're going to go to some whiteboard practice. Okay, I'm back. I'm going to share my screen so that you see my whiteboard. There we go. Okay, so this one is just like the ones we were just looking at. Should feel fairly easy by now. We're going to take our 2 digits, which are not 0, and we're going to find their product. 2 times 3 is 6. We're going to count our zeros, and I like to have my students put a dot under each 0. In this case, we add 1. Now we're going to make this a little bit more difficult, but the general approach stays the same. So if we have 20 times 30, now both factors have zeros in them, it's no problem. We take the 2 digits, which are not zeros, multiply them, and get our product. 2 times 3 is 6. Now we count our zeros in each factor, and we add that many zeros. Okay, so let's do another example of this difficulty. Again, you can pause the video at any time, replay it, or use it as a tool for you. So this time I'm going to do 60 times 70. So we're going to take our 2 numbers are digits which are not 0, multiply them together, and we get 42. Now that might take you a while, but that's okay. It's okay to take time. We still have to deal with our zeros. We count them, 1, 2, and we're adding 2 zeros. Now I'm going to add my comma by going from right to left, 1, 2, 3 spaces. So we see my answer is 4,200. And lastly, our last example, I'm going to do a tricky one again, 40 times 50. Tricky because there's more zeros in my final product than are over on the left side of this equation. So we have 4 times 5 equals 20. So I have a 0 here already. And then I'm adding my 1, 2 zeros for a final answer of 2,000. Okay, that's the end of the video for today. This should help you when you get to multiplying 2-digit numbers and 3-digit bigger numbers and using partial products or area model, but that will come next. Okay, bye-bye. And bye.